Wave 1 is not over. A second gargoyle lunges through the dust, mouth wide, and the prince already has his blade swinging for its throat. Purple light explodes off Ash's strike. The creature's jaw cracks open mid-scream as the cut tears through bone and the air bleeds violet. He breathes through clenched teeth, eyes blown wide, hair still drifting from the impact. He listens to the wall for the next set of wings. Wind whips a blonde knight forward through the smoke, sword angled high, gold trim catching a blade of light off the broken sky. His cape settles beside the prince like a curtain falling between acts. Stones still grind under his boots. The first wave is finally quiet. Ghost swords of pale blue mana ignite above them. Lucas stands at Ash's shoulder calling him by his title, the word landing like a hammer. Fire blooms across the parapets. 6 dark formations carve themselves out of the smoke. The second wave sorting into hunting packs. A green warning glyph rips open across the heavens, stamping Wave 2 above the city. The second wave is already coming for the wall. Gargoyles peel off into red streaks and drop straight down. The wall waits below them, stones still smoking from the first kill. Mana-spun swords burst skyward, crossing each other in lattices of blue light. They are not aimed at one creature. They are aimed at all of them. A talon hand explodes into shards as a sword runs it through. The kill is clean. The kill is fast. The kill is silent except for paper crackle of dying ash. Lucas is at the wall's edge, mana spilling out of his back in twin golden arcs, conjured blades streaming from his shoulders like a second army. Wave 2 breaks against him. Bodies rain into the rubble below, wings snapping like dropped umbrellas in the wind. He remembers the empty days. He remembers a circle of practice swords stuck in the dirt around him, his arms aching from the count. He remembers a slow mastery rate that punished him every session, and the smaller, stubborn voice that told him to keep swinging anyway. Now the conjured blades carve through monsters like a tutorial. The work paid off. The work is paying off in real blood instead of practice dust. A long red braid steps into view. The magician's eyes are wide and calm in the storm, and her voice carries a title the prince has not earned yet. Fearful, sweat slides down his jaw. Quick, he thinks. Too quick. Time is sprinting on the wall, and the clock he is hiding from is louder than the battle. Green runes spin in the air with a warning. 1 minute until the wind artifact stops. The number bleeds time he does not have. 5 minutes from now, the artifact comes back online. 5 minutes that have to be paid for in flesh on the parapets. He wonders if they can. Red armored soldiers break and run, swords loose at their sides, throats already raw from shouting. Something is coming that they cannot stop alone. One gargoyle slips the lattice. Its jaws tear sideways through the air, talons spread, dropping straight toward the men below. Ash's face hardens. Sweat tracks his jaw. The composure he has been faking all morning cracks just at the corner of his mouth. He squeezes his gloved hand into a fist until the leather creaks. No, he tells himself. Keep it together. 5 minutes will not break him. Fearful, smoke lifts and the others are already with him, drawn out of the dust, ready for orders. 5 fighters around one prince in a ruined courtyard. He explains the map. The gargoyles will rush the center like water. He has seen this exact pattern 1,000 times in another life on a screen. He points to the ballista line. The cannon crews are not braced for melee. If the gargoyles reach them, the wall loses its eyes and its teeth. He claps once, hard, gloved palm to gloved palm. The sound echoes off the broken stone like a small thunderclap calling the wall to order. 5 minutes, he says, voice flat. The real battle begins now. Around him stand 4 fighters and a tyrant prince who only looks calm on the outside. He believes they can hold. He says it like he means it. Then he warns them about the variables, because variables are what kill players who get cocky. Then he tells them, with a small dry smile, that he is going to give every single one of them a slap on the hand. The party stares back, speechless. He explains, almost panicked, that this is a game mechanic, a maestro buff. Striking allies activates random tier effects, and right now they need every one. The system answers him with a pixel maestro card spinning gold above the rubble. Random buff, random tier, a roulette wheel he has to spin 5 times. In his head he pictures the team chibi and lined up, while a tiny pixel prince mimes the slap. The mechanic looks ridiculous. The mechanic is also law. Lucas presents his palm. The blonde knight is sweating already and trying to look brave. The prince murmurs that there is no time for explanation. The slap connects. A red -1 floats up off Lucas's hand. The knight winces theatrically while the prince checks the air for the system's answer. Higher level buff acquired. A pixel Lucas spins gold inside the system window. MP cost halved for 3 minutes. The prince exhales like a man who just dodged a coin flip. Cold mana drips from Lucas's open palms. He stares at his own hands like they belong to a stranger. The buff is already humming under his armor. Lucas opens his mouth like a fish, eyes wide, half panicked and half delighted. The slap landed and a buff appeared. The math just changed. The blonde knight blurts out that the prince should hit him more in the future. The wall has never heard a knight ask for that. Neither has the prince. Okay, Ash says and looks away, because the only thing harder than slapping his own knights is responding to one of them enjoying it. He turns to the silver-haired girl. She stares back, green eyes sharp, already piecing together the conversation she just overheard between two boys. The slap lands on her armored glove. Red -1 rises off her hand. She yelps once, more from surprise than pain, and squares her stance again. Lower level buff acquired. The pixel card spins Evangeline in shield and spear form. Defense up 10% for 3 minutes. A small win counts. Evangeline blinks. The buff settles into her shoulders like a second cloak, and she feels it tighten across her shield arm before she can ask what it does. Ash's open palm hangs in the air like a guillotine in slow motion. The party stares. The next victim of the buff roulette is the smallest one. That question does sound weird. A voice in the prince's head says, because asking your own priest if he felt the effects is not a sentence he expected to say. Come up with it on your own, the prince mutters, embarrassed. Yep, sorry, the knight beside him replies, both of them refusing to look each other in the eye. Damien holds both palms out, gloved fingers shaking. Please, he whispers, voice cracking. Go light. The smallest member of the party is also the most afraid. Ash looks at the priest like he is asking a child to take a vaccine. What is wrong with this guy, he thinks. Damien's lower lip is shaking. Hood up, the priest looks small enough to disappear. He heard from someone that this wall was a terrible place. He is starting to understand why. Sorry, Damien, the prince says, but it is a buff for you. The slap lands clean. The priest hardly registers the impact before the gold light hits him. Top tier buff acquired. Damien N. Unlimited stamina for 3 minutes. The smallest body on the wall just became the one nothing on it can tire out. I think I can do anything now, the priest says, eyes shining, voice almost cracking with surprise. The prince looks at him and does not laugh. Ash flexes the gloved hand, tendons clicking under leather, eyes already moving past Damien to the last of the 5 waiting on the wall. Lily, he calls, smiling for the first time today. Do you want to get hit too? The braid swings as she turns and her face goes the color of old paper. No, there is no need to be scared, she tells herself, gripping her staff harder. She is not convincing. The wall hears her anyway. Between his gloves, the wind artifact's pocket clock spins. The Roman numerals tick. 5 minutes are bleeding off the dial faster than he can spend them. Behind him, the sky bruises again. Gargoyles peel out of the cloud cover in tight, ugly formations. Wave 3 is here. Lily snaps. Her staff jerks up, braid flying, eyes wide with fury and adrenaline. She is done being asked nicely. She is buffed and she is angry. Half the third wave never reaches the parapets. They drop in clusters out of the sky as the artifacts spear them mid-flight. 50 against 5 flashes across the wall like a scoreboard. In a defense game, this is the kind of number the player learns to laugh at. The prince adjusts the cuff of his uniform, slow and patient, like a man straightening his sleeve before a job he has done 100 times. Floating swords ignite around his shoulders again. Smoke runs off the gargoyles falling behind him. He walks back into the storm. Cape steady. Wave 3 rains down. Gargoyles thrash on sword tips, lightning curling around them, dust rolling thick across the parapets. Ash's eyes fix Lily through the haze. Nothing to worry about, he tells her. The whole party is buffed now. He grins over his shoulder and dares the gargoyles to come at him one at a time. Mana blades drift around him. Conjured swords blur toward a charging gargoyle. Lucas storms in alongside, blade angled at the wave's left flank. Lucas's jaw is tight, eyes bright. He sees the prince burning swords alone and moves to cover his blind side. One of them slipped the left side of the fire net, he shouts. The wall has a hole. The hole is full of teeth. A green system window flares. Second skill, Step of Tenacity, activating. Lucas vanishes into a vapor trail of light. He reappears under the gargoyle. When did I get all the way over there? His mouth shapes, eyes wide with the boot speed. MP usage halved. 3 minutes. The buff hums under his armor. The blonde knight crouches like a wound spring. Mana cannons crack. A horse-shaped fire detonates against the battlement. The cannons answer wave 3 from the rear. Lily's hair lifts in the artifact's wind. Her eyes go bright and dangerous. The buff ate her fear and left the spell. Gargoyles snarl down at the wall, jaws full of red teeth. They do not see what is coiling up to meet them. Mana bullets carve trails through wave 3. Each shot bursts a wing or a skull in clean purple light. She braces a wand rifle to her shoulder, eyes hidden in steam. Woodpecker chambers around only she can feed. Fearful single shot only, Ash thinks. The recoil chews up the user's body. Damien is the weakest body on the wall. Damien lifts his woodpecker. Knuckles glow with the buff. The recoil that should snap his shoulder never arrives. Unlimited stamina, 3 minutes. The priest fires shot after shot in a blur of muzzle flash. The buff cancels his weakness. Maybe I should train his stamina every day, Ash thinks. The hooded priest just became a totally different character. He frames the gun in his thoughts. This seems way better than he expected. An item barely worth glancing at. Even in the game, the prince mutters, a B-rank buff cake felt random. He never thought it worth the slot. He admits it half smiling under the dirt. It is a much bigger effect than he expected from a buff this short. Lucas spins past in a flicker of armor, blade carving an arc through a diving gargoyle, as long as they kill what is left. A long blue mana blade shears upward through smoke and bone. The kill takes a heartbeat. The sky bleeds light. Another mana blade slices through a gargoyle's chest, narrow and surgical, leaving a corridor of pale fire behind. Ash's boots clip the broken stone, calm and unhurried. He walks the wall like it is already his. Lily turns, braids swinging, freckles burning. She was wondering when the prince would finally call her name. Ash grins wide and bright. Well, he tells her, before you shoot fire, there is one more thing he wants to see. Her face falls. No, why, she mouths, eyes white. The grin she just earned has turned into another assignment. Lucas catches up. I'm here, your highness, the blonde knight calls. Wave 3 loops overhead, regrouping. Now, Lily, over there, the prince orders. Shoot there. The braid lifts and the wand answers. Lily's face streaks with sweat, braid clinging to her jaw, terrified, buffed, and going to cast it anyway. A blossom of orange flame swallows her staff. The fire roars out in a perfect ball, hair lifting, mouth open. First skill, fire cannon. A sun bursts open above the wall. The fire wheels into a spiral and locks on. Holy, the prince breathes. Did he calculate the rebound paths too? All of it. The math is doing itself. After that, the rest of the scattered gargoyles get caught in the fireball's pull, swallowed in pale gold light. Gargoyles thrash inside the inferno, jaws open, wings curled. The fire cannon eats them. The wall breathes silence. Show us what you've got, the hooded mages shout from the artillery line, half cheering, half praying. An elder gargoyle drops out of the smoke, gray and slab-faced, jaw cracked, red eyes burning behind the cinder. After that, the scattered remnants of Wave 3 try one last lunge. Lucas's swords corner them midair. Evangeline appears at Ash's shoulder, silver hair flying. Who's the elder? She snaps, ready to crash into something. Miss, lift your shield, Lucas barks. Woodpecker, level 20, mana lion. A status card spins for her in pale blue light. Ah, I hit it, Lucas breathes. The knight's aiming has been showing all morning. He probably did aim for all of that. Ah, I hit it, the boy says, blush creeping up his ear. The aim was a fluke, and also not a fluke at all. Her expression is scary, Lucas whispers. Wait, what buff did she get, the blonde knight wonders, half afraid to ask. Evangeline's green eyes lock on the gargoyle line. Just like that, we defeated the last of the third wave, she states. Do it again next time, the wall taunts in white text. Wave 3 total victory, the system stamps in cold capitals. Lily slumps, lips parted, eyes glazed. The buff is running out. The mana drain is chewing her from the inside. Artifact cooldown complete. A green orb pulses above the wall. The wind cannons hum back online. 5 minutes bought. Fearful activation ready, Ash says, hand outstretched. Yes, yes, Lily whispers back, the artifact obeying her shaking voice. Wave 4. Start. Fresh gargoyles peel out of distant fires, the column thicker than Wave 3 at its peak. Fearful Lily is still exhausted and gasping. Braid sticks to her cheek. The buffed magician used everything she had. Damien's Black Queen and Hunter's Justice are used to their end. Woodpecker is almost done too. Mana Lance and Pattern Shield sit propped against the wall, scorched and dented, witnesses of a wave that almost broke them. We're running out of bullets, your highness, the young soldier reports. The prince closes his eyes and runs the plan. I still have a few things I saved, the prince says. The main party pulled their weight today. Now it is the second column's turn. Boots clip stone behind him. A column of red-sashed figures rises onto the parapet, hoods bowed, blades sheathed in tight line. Block the enemies as the main party did, Ash tells them. I'll help if you need me. The phrase lands like a contract. Rest comfortably, your highness. The masked, green-haired knight answers. She will make sure he does not have to lift a finger. Lily watches the new column pass her medic chair. Boot heels strike stone in quiet rhythm. Even her exhaustion turns to look. Her eyes narrow. The braid sways once. 3 dots float by her ear. She has questions and the prince knows it. Ash's gloved fist tightens behind his back. Knuckles creak under the leather. The prince calculates cost on every breath. Lucas and Evangeline shrink to chibi size beside him. The atmosphere, they mutter, has gone tense between the two groups. It is something you'll have to get used to, the prince tells them. He will keep using the new sub-party in the future. Behind him, a green wraith of mana spirals into being. Shadow unit magic boils up off the parapet in a column of pale light. A gargoyle drops down, fingers wide, red eyes burning. Its claw cracks the stone and drags splinters across it. "Make us accept you, Shadow Unit," the prince says, smile soft. The order lands as contract and welcome at the same time. Hooded figures lift their staves. "Show us what you've got," the wall calls back. Green-eyed and silent, the column moves out. A gargoyle's clawed hand cracks against pale stone, fingers splayed. The Shadow Unit closes in. The prince watches and waits. The system snaps open in cold blue light. Sub-Party 1, 5 chibi sprites stand in tight rank with code names and rarity stamped below. Hooded figures bow on the parapet, masks pulled high, red sashes cinched tight, blades sheathed in disciplined silence. 2 sorcerers and 3 archers. The roster is heavily skewed toward firepower. The team builds around the long shot. The leader steps forward, green hair falling past her mask, eyes calm. She is here to formation up around large monster battles. The Tyrant prince watches without turning. If this party can roll smoothly, overpowering the enemy with sheer firepower will be a breeze. 2 masked figures lock eyes through the dust. "Got it," one signals, voice cool as winter glass under the hood. An archer calls the shot. Hooded silhouettes line the parapet, masks high, eyes narrowed at a target out of sight. A red sash sorcerer steps out, gloved hand thrown forward, hood lifting in the artifact wind, mana coiling around her fist. A mana lattice spears off the wall in a tight column of blue light, slicing the sky open in a clean razor line. Far below, a steel barricade explodes off its mounts as the mana beam runs it through in the wall behind. A cannon battery cracks once on the rear platform. The barrel barks. The shot is already gone, already finding its mark. Out of the smoke, a gargoyle chieftain rears up, jaw wide, teeth like rusted swords, a level 35 name burned into the air. Mana arrows hiss off the parapet in violet streaks, splitting the air, each shaft humming with a barely contained skill charge. The boss takes the first hit on its shoulder. Gray hide cracks. The chieftain howls, red eyes hunting the line of hoods above. The system flares a permission prompt across the dust. Permission to use skill confirmed. 3 masked faces stare back from inside the same bubble. Skull pulls back, knuckles white on the string, green hair lifting in the artifact wind. A single arrow chambers itself in mana. The arrow leaves the bow with a green tail trailing behind it, climbing on hard mana, locked on the chieftain's throat. "Is that why his codename is Skull?" the prince mutters under his breath. "Single shot specialist." The math is doing itself again. The arrow strikes home. The chieftain's head jerks, jaw locking, claws closing on empty air as the kill registers. Lesser gargoyles peel away in stunned arcs, only to meet a forest of follow-up arrows already humming up the air toward them. Steel-skinned gargoyles spin sideways midair, throats opened, wings cracking, the kill count ticking up faster than the eye can read. Another red-sashed sorcerer steps to the front, hood drawn low, cape lifting, mana already coiling along her open palms. Mana spears erupt off the parapet in a wall of crystalline blue. Each shaft locks on before the eye can sort. "Quite sturdy," the green-haired knight murmurs, watching the wreckage settle, voice a flat ribbon under the mask. A signal flare cuts the sky. The shadow column braces, hoods low, waiting for a strike they already know is coming. "Everyone get down," the green-haired knight calls. Her voice never lifts. The whole line drops without a heartbeat of hesitation. Fire blooms across the sky in dense gold columns. Each pillar punches a hole in the gargoyle line and keeps burning. Burnout's passive ignites. The whole battlefield catches in one breath. A cathedral of flame rolls outward across Wave 4. "This is why I kept an eye on Burnout from the start," the prince thinks. "The kid is a one-man artillery platform. If I build him right," the prince finishes, "he will be perfect for mob hunting." The thought files itself away with a smile. A last gargoyle scrabbles up from the smoke, jaw cracked, quirk in its throat, red eyes fixed on the nearest red sash. An archer takes the shot mid-pivot. Wind shrieks behind the bolt. The gargoyle vanishes into a curl of black smoke and dust. Another straggler drops out of the cloud line, talons spread, the last attempt of a wave already broken on the parapet. The green-haired knight steps between the prince and the kill, palm up. "Sorry," she says, "but we are full here today." Gargoyles are nothing but pieces of rock to Godhand. The masked sorcerer flicks a kill out of the air without flinching. A burn pillar settles into ashfall. Wave 4 total victory stamps itself across the parapet in cool white capitals. Ash turns to the priest with a softer smile. "You are already a huge help," he says. "Do not worry about it." "Your Highness," Damien whispers up, big brown eyes watering, hood crooked, voice cracking on the word he still cannot fit. Damien cannot learn archery skills anyway, the prince adds. Gentler, the boy nods, embarrassed, and the prince lets it go. Beyond them, mana cannons hammer the smoke. Pillars of flame hold the gate. The shadow column moves like a single quiet machine. Things are going smoothly for now, the prince thinks. 3 dots float over his head while his eyes track the burning sky. For now, he repeats. The phrase lands harder than he meant it. Far on the horizon, fires hold their breath and wait. Stage 4 enemy info snaps open in cold blue. The card lists Chieftain, Stone, and Steel, each with their body counts stacked. "What?" the prince mouths, eyes locked on the chieftain line. 2 bodies, not 1. The number sits in his chest like a stone. "The boss must appear on the field for the system to log it," he reads. "There is a second one already out there." Many spears slice the air ahead of him in tight cluster volleys, but his attention is not on the swarm anymore. His eyes blow wide. The data does not match the playthroughs. There were never supposed to be 2 bosses on this map. The prince's teeth set. The cape behind him snaps in the artifact wind. Whatever the second boss is, it is already inside the map. The air pressure on the wall changes. Hooded heads lift in one motion. Something heavy is dropping toward them from above. A new mass plummets out of the cloud cover, talons spread, wings cocked, eyes burning red over a mouth of stone teeth. "The boss mob is coming from above. Prepare yourselves," the prince shouts across the parapet, voice cutting through the cannon fire. A dark blur falls between the column and the prince. Cape and claw collide. The hit lands on the green-haired knight. Fearful splatter rises in dark threads across her mask. Her braid lifts in the impact. A red line opens under one calm green eye. What the heck?" she breathes, hood crooked, blade still level. She does not flinch. She just narrows her eyes at the sky. A clawed hand cracks against polished stone. The second boss landed inside their formation. Dust funnels up in a slow ring. Masked archers scatter back across the parapet, bowstrings already winding, eyes hunting the smoke for the silhouette that landed. "There's one more," the prince shouts to the shadow column, eyes hard, voice cutting clean across the noise of the cannon fire. "Pardon?" An archer answers, lowering her bow, eyes blown wide above the mask, brow lifting in confusion under the hood. "There are 2 boss monsters due to the dark event," the prince explains, voice flat. "The system tracked both already." Mana spears rain blind into the smoke. None of them find the second body. "The boss has gone to ground." "Where is it?" the prince hisses, eyes narrowing. The cape lifts in the wind. The wall has gone quiet, listening. Behind him, the wind artifacts pulse weak orange. Mana spears are still falling, but the cannons are buckling under shockwave bleed. "Damn it! The artifacts!" the prince shouts, mouth tearing open in raw frustration. The wall's eyes are cracking around him. The bigger silhouette tears through the smoke, claws wide, dragging the shattered frame of a cannon platform behind it. The green-haired knight goes down on one knee, eyes closing slow, blood running clean along her braid into the wet stone. Blood paints the green braid red. The chieftain's claw hangs over the knight, masked face fixed on the only target left standing. "Kirk," the boss snarls from inside its own helmet, one eye burning a coal red, jaw rattling against the stone teeth. Body bags fireskin passive triggers automatic. Orange flame skins her arms and shoulders. The masked sorcerer survives the second hit clean. Lily cracks at the air, mana whips folding in white lashes, knuckles already bleeding under the gauntlet. The chieftain watches, unimpressed. "Body bag, Lily." The prince cuts across the cannon noise, hand thrown out, cape snapping, voice flat as a closed door. "Yes," the magician shouts, bracing the wand rifle, braid clinging to her jaw. The masked knight rises behind her in blood. A fearful bullet from Cerberus cracks the parapet air in half. The shot reaches the chieftain in a tight line of white tracer. The shot hits home. The chieftain barely chips. Even for Lily, a magic attack is not opening this armor today. The masked knight blurs past the magician, blade ringing once off the chieftain's helm, sound like a struck anvil ringing the wall. "Are you all right, Miss Lily?" the masked knight asks, voice level under the bloodied mask, green eyes scanning the magician for cracks. Yet fearful as Lily answers, eyes still shaking, hood crooked. A small flat dot of confusion drops between them in the air. Behind them the prince is already running the math. Armor and helmet are the problem. The math has one back door. 3 guards slot in shoulder to shoulder before the prince. Lucas in white steel. The Green Knight, blade level. A masked archer. 3 chieftain silhouettes bow forward through the red mist, crawling the wall in close formation, jaws steaming, picking their target. They will come for me, the prince thinks, eyes flat. Lowest level on this parapet. Most important commander on this parapet. But the remaining gargoyles are a problem too. Lucas mutters at the rain, gauntlet white on his hilt, brow set hard. Smoke folds into shape above the gate. 6th wave of the gargoyle army. The final wave. The system stamps it gold. I have a way to deal with the 6th wave, the prince says quietly, profile sharp against the storm. Leave it to me. Yes, sir, the blonde knight answers, no hesitation, eyes already turning to the next horizon. The prince marks the moment quietly. Good job, Godhand, the prince calls past Lucas's shoulder. Lily is on her knees, head dropped, hood crooked, breath thin. I installed the other artifacts in a different place from the start, the prince says. 3 silver rings glow on a hidden plinth. Go now and activate them immediately, he orders. Glove fist tight at his side. The magic multiplier artifact. The target is me. Lily curls forward in the whetstone, knees together, gauntlets dark. Her small, exhausted hands tremble around the empty barrel of her weapon. I am sorry, the magician chokes, brown eyes flooding, face streaked with rain and soot. She fired everything she had. Fearful. Go now. There is no time, the masked knight whispers, herding the magician back behind the line, gloved hand on her shoulder. Evangeline and Lucas slide forward in twin silver steel, faces lifted into the rain, grins lit by pure adrenaline and shared danger. Lucas's gauntlet slams into his open palm. The clap rings off wet stone. He is locked in. The blonde knight is ready. Don't let down your guard, the prince says. Defend calmly. Got it. Yes, Lucas answers, voice cracking only at the edge. Damien, how many bullets are left in Cerberus, the prince asks. The priest holds the handgun up, knuckles pale on the grip. 3 dots float over Damien's head. Cerberus is a handgun. The count is not in his favor and the priest knows it. The problem is the gargoyle's armor and helmet, the prince thinks. They have a high magic defense no single mage can crack, but the body has a high physical defense. One could say each chieftain is an inside-out living armor with the core walled in. Easy to say it, hard to crack it. He is not staying still for us, the prince finishes, watching the chieftain pace. Cerberus jolts in Damien's small hand. Even with both palms wrapped around it, the recoil bullies him sideways, slide kicking back. I cannot have Damien fighting close range, the prince decides. 3 dots above the priest say the priest already knew that. Body bag, the prince calls across the wet stone. How are your unit members holding up? The masked knight kneels in the rain. Their weapons are damaged as well, the masked knight answers, voice flat. 3 of her people lie face down on wet stone behind her. Damien, heal the shadow unit members first. The prince orders, eyes on the kneeling knight. I need their firepower back immediately. Yes, sir, the priest stammers, already moving, knees skidding on the flagstone toward the line of fallen masked figures. The clouds finally break open above the wall. Rain comes down hard, tock-tock off the cannons, soaking every cape in seconds. Rain bleeds down stone teeth, slicks the parapet, pools at the prince's boots. The cannons stutter. The wall starts to lose grip. Man, even the sky is not helping, the prince murmurs, palm open in the rain. How cruel. 3 dots float past his crown. 2 chieftains haul up the wall in twin clouds of red haze, helmets dripping rainwater, jaws steaming, single eyes still bright. Twin chieftain silhouettes advance on the line in a slow march, faces lit by fang glow, talons leaving red prints on flagstone. Whew, Lucas breathes, sword up. Holy, they dented my shield, Evangeline mutters, grin pulled tight, eyes on the bigger of the 2. Come on, Evangeline chants under her breath. Blade leveled, calf tensed for the lunge. Every nerve already firing. Obviously it will be hard, the prince thinks. A boss that was difficult enough to appear once, and the system is stacked too. I'll leave it to you 2, the prince says behind them. Lucas and Evangeline lift their blades together against twin chieftain silhouettes. Steel chimes off polished stone in fast back and forth blows. Lucas and Evangeline fold around the smaller chieftain in a scissor. Sparks shake off the chieftain's helm in white bursts. The 2 knights drive it backwards step by step along the wet parapet. Evangeline's blade hooks the elbow joint. Lucas drives a counter into the ribs. The boss buckles half a foot under combined pressure. Your Highness, an auburn-haired girl shouts up from the lower platform. The magic multiplier artifact is ready right now, she calls. Good, activate it now, the prince calls across the rain. Got it, the healer answers, hands lifting toward the silver rune. Pa-ling! The rune fires, silver light columns up around her knees, the wall hums. The artifact is live and feeding the prince. The target character's magic effect increased by 100%. The system stamps in cool gold across the rain-washed parapet. The target is me, the prince says aloud. Ash, magic effects pour up his arms in white ribbons. The buff is his now. He lifts both gloved hands, fingers spread. Pa-ling? Using Eye of the Commander. The skill name burns gold across the wall. Make eye contact with the target of this skill. The system instructs in clean white runes. The chieftain's helm swallows his sight. 2 yellow lamps lock onto the prince through the bars of the helmet. Target acquired, 1 body. Please say your command. Kill your comrade, the prince orders, eye blown wide, pupil ringed in gold light, voice cold enough to freeze the rain. Command difficulty, hard, the system answers, comparing user spirit stat against target magic stat. The wheel begins its slow spin. So what does this mean? The prince mouths under the rune light. It means the boss is weak to all kinds of magic. In other words, it is also weak to mind control. So if I just push myself, the prince finishes, smile pulling tight. Blood crawls out the corner of the prince's mouth, runs cold down his jaw. He is forcing the command through the stat wall. Cold blue light blooms across the chieftain's eye. The skill holds. The boss turns to obey, and somewhere behind it the prince mutters to destroy to its heart's content. Blood beats on rain-slick stone, toke toke toke, falling in long red drops off a hooded blade the prince's order left dripping. Fearful Lucas and Evangeline stagger up out of the smoke, eyes round, mouths half open. What's happening? The white-haired knight breathes. 2 gargoyle chieftains hang up on the wall, helmets dripping water, one eye still burning blue, the other lamp still burning red. Each hit they swing lands like a siege weapon. The bigger boss buries a claw in its twin's ribcage and pulls. Fearful sparks shake off the steel jaw of the mind-controlled chieftain. Red plating peels in ribbons. The twin takes it without blinking. Red armored soldiers freeze on the lower bailey, faces tipped up, watching one gargoyle eat its own brother. I was wondering how to lure them apart, the prince mouths, watching the bigger gargoyle hurl itself onto its twin. But he threw himself in there, Ash murmurs. Well, that's one thing off my shoulder. 2 chieftains grind helms in the rain. The mind-controlled chieftain rips at its brother, jaw splitting wide. 3 rows of fangs slick with rainwater and something darker than rain. The hooded sorcerer who once made sense stands still, head bowed inside her cape, the only sane gargoyle chieftain on this parapet. The prince's eye sharpens through wet dark hair, gold ring still hot in his pupil from Eye of the Commander. Now the setup is simpler, he thinks. While that crazy gargoyle kills all his minions, we'll beat up his betrayed twin instead. This made things twice as easy, Lucas mouths, the first grin of the wave breaking across his blonde face. And 4 times more fun, Evangeline adds. White hair lifting, green eyes lit, blade tip drawing a slow circle in the rain. The smaller chieftain ducks under Lucas's first stroke. Steel rings off armor. The boss answers with a backhand that punches stone loose. Once we were faced with 1 opponent instead of 2, the prince thinks, it became much easier to defend the line. We have to take off its armor, the prince mouths, profile sharp through the storm, plan locking in behind his eyes. If both of them switch to fight offensively only to get counterattacked, that would be bad, he warns himself, eyes narrowing. There has to be a way, the prince thinks, the words ringing inside his skull like a bell struck once. The shadow unit has returned to battle, the masked knight reports, voice flat. 3 hooded figures rise out of the dust. Green hair falls past the edge of her hood, braid heavy with rainwater, dark mask tight, eyes shut for one breath. I have fixed them temporarily, she says, holding up a hooked blade. White mana sparks ride along the patched edge. Her green eyes lift inside the hood, sharp as cut glass, braids swinging across one shoulder, mask hiding her mouth. Her people fan out around her in the rain, hooded shapes flooded blue with leaking mana, weapons humming, the wall whole again. The hooded knight throws an arc of pale spears, a cold half-moon slamming into armor seams. Steel chips off in flakes. Wind kicks off her hood. She lifts a curved blade in one fist, mana streaming back in a long white tail. Sparks fountain across the parapet. Pale spears bury themselves in the chieftain's pauldron. The boss roars, dragging itself a half-step back. The two knights keep the boss in place, the prince thinks. The shadow unit destroys armor, then magic hits the body. But reality always strays from the plan, the prince mutters. Rain hits the broken stone and white needles. The wall trembles. The chieftain's claw snaps low. Red light flashes off steel. Lucas takes the cut clean across his ribs, grin lifting. "I'll block it," Evangeline screams. White hair flooded in the rain, round shield up across her brother in steel, fang teeth showing. The boss slams the shield. Her boots skid back, blue cloak flaring, the impact ringing all the way to her shoulder. "Huh," she breathes, shield ringing flat. White hair lifts off her cheek. The chieftain's fist sinks the rim deep. The prince's open glove drips 3 slow red beads. "Damn it," he murmurs. "I used too much power back there." "Erg," Evangeline grunts, head thrown back, hair scattering. Thankfully, she was able to guard with her shield clean off the strike. "Wah!" The auburn healer cries from the lower platform, gloves stretched up, blue mana feeding back along the bleeding silver-haired knight. A massive clawed hand erupts up from below the wall, fingers splayed wide, talons longer than Lucas's blade, dripping black-silver gore. Lucas slides back hard, gauntlet up, blonde hair flicked off his brow, eyes locked on the new shadow cresting the parapet edge. The prince mouths a soft "huh." Blood dries at the corner of his lip. His hand opens slow as something heavy lands. The tanker line that kept the boss in place disappeared, the prince thinks. The mind-controlled chieftain has eaten its own twin clean. The masked knight steps forward, green eyes hot, mana whips folding around her fists, the braid swinging once across her steel collar. "Ha!" Her hood snaps in the wind, hair flooded across her temple, the lone sane knight still loyal to her prince. Rain whips into white static across the wall. "Pa!" The whetstone hisses under the heat coming off the chieftain's broken brother. The mind-controlled chieftain plants a claw on the parapet and pulls itself up over the lip in one slow heave. Fearful, it melted the smaller chieftain's feet to the ground. The prince notes. White mist coils where the second boss stood. Loses meaning in the face of overwhelming strength. The system stamps gold. The boss's red eye sweeps the lines slow. "Erg," the masked knight grunts behind her hood, mana whips snapping into a defensive cross, braids still wet across her shoulder. The monster was only focused, the prince thinks. It does not see Lucas. Does not see Evangeline. It looks past them. "If we can't stop him, we'll all die," the prince mouths, teeth bared. "Think, Ash Kim," he tells himself. "The only way we can stop him right now," he thinks. The gargoyle's jaws split wide enough to swallow a tower. Lily kneels in the lower courtyard, hands lifted toward an orange firestorm, the magic multiplier flaring pale fire around her thin wrists. Lily, the prince murmurs, eye sharpening, the senior mage of this monster battlefront, the system whispers in a low gold ribbon. The chieftain's red eye locks on the kneeling magician, sparks fall around its jaw. The boss has chosen its true target tonight. What about the boss monster? The hooded green-haired knight mouths in the rain, green eyes flicking sideways toward the courtyard below. A grenade of gold ash punches into the lower platform, splitting flagstone in a wide black bowl. The world burns briefly. Smoke folds back over the courtyard. Sparks rain on stone. The chieftain stands inside the dust, eyes still red, jaw still split. Its target changed, the prince hisses. The boss skids around in mid-leap, talons screaming a long line on the parapet. The gargoyle lands in front of the courtyard wall, jaw splitting 3 rows of fangs, eye blown wide for the kneeling magician. Eek, I knew it, Lily mouths, brown eyes round, hands clamped to her cheeks. She got its attention all by herself. She had no mana to activate Flameskin either, the prince realizes. The buff that once saved her is empty now. Lily kneels in the wet courtyard, head bowing slow. Accepting the fate, the system stamps gold across the rain above her head. The chieftain rears up over her, lamps burning red through the dust, jaws fanned, talons hooked, raindrops vanishing into its breath. But still, the magician whispers, brown lashes lowered, voice almost gentle. I hope my end is, she breathes. The line stops cold. The masked knight throws herself across Lily's body, cape snapping wide, blade out, green eyes fierce inside the dripping hood. Behind them the prince stands in the rain, cape flooded, hooded knight crouched at his hip, eyes fixed past the boss. Inside the chieftain's black pupil, a small slim silhouette stands reflected, arrow nocked, ear pointed. The system whispers one word, elf.